okay, how in terms of how traditional multifamily, that's another thing I want us to consider. Your traditional multifamily, how does it compete with your build to rent? Because we can see some great advantages in your build to rent, which I enumerated earlier on. How do we compete with build to rent? If you own or operate a traditional Class A or Class B apartment property in a suburb where there are build to rent community opening up or already opened up down the street in a scope of about 3 to 5 miles, how do you compete with such advantages that they bring to the table for renters? You don't need to rebuild your property. You need to implement what I call family-friendly value-add upgrades. That's about it. You need to compete in the spaces or the all spaces of being family friendly. Let's look at some aspect or some things that you can put into play when it comes to value add in your asset. You could implement something like private dog parks, fence yards, convert your underutilized ground floor green space into private fences, yards for ground floor units, at least for those occupying the the ground floor rather. Having probably 150 square foot fence patio allows you to command they're about $75, maybe $50 to $75 to maybe $120 per month, $125 per month rent premium from pet owners. Now, another thing you can also do is co-working and family lounges. Convert small unused business centers in your lounges into private co-working pods designed for hybrid workers. If you have hybrid workers as renter who need quiet spaces away from home, you can also do that as an added value add that can attract renter. A third thing I could suggest is that you can reserve garage and storage upgrades. Package detachable garages and private storage lockers together to give families the extra storage space that they would otherwise get in a single family home. And those are the things that you can implement to make your competition a little bit up to par with your build to rent as an apartment investor, as somebody that is managing an asset close by build to rent, which are putting you quite competitive, I would say, and they're really pulling their weights out there. To wrap up today's show, just like I said, build to rent addresses a real structural gap caused by single family housing on affordability in the Texas area. Build to rent communities enjoy higher tenant retention and lower annual turnover costs, as we've talked about earlier on. Your traditional apartment operators can defend their market shares by just implementing the things that I talked about right now, the target family-friendly outdoor and technology upgrades, which would really attract some family. Build to rent is not it's not something that you will call a fad. It's a permanent evolution of the scope of housing here in the Sun Belt area in the Texas.